12 Minutes is Annapurna's newest outing, and I was already going to like it because I honestly love everything they've put out. My only issue with 12 Minutes is that it isn't Stray, which is the cat game where it's a cyberpunk future.
That game does sound incredible, and I really want to play it. When's that coming out?
End of the year. Anyway, this isn't about Stray. We'll do a video on that later. First things first, the most noticeable thing about this game is easily the cast. Like, for a random indie game to be like, we've got James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and William Dafoe. Like, that's not normal.
The fact that it's them three, they're all very good actors, but I actually can't tell it's any of them.
I can tell it's William Dafoe.
Okay, yeah.
I think he has a...
he has a very specific voice.
But yeah, Daisy Ridley and James McAvoy, if you didn't tell me...
No, I'd have no idea. It doesn't sound anything like them.
Maybe they just put their names on it.
Maybe.
We wouldn't know. I believe them. Why not?
It's James McAvoy's brother. Just, yeah.
Jimmy McAvoy.
Yeah.
I think it's because they're doing American accents. Daisy Ridley, I mean, I've not seen her in anything except for Star Wars.
Yeah,
and she's doing British, because she is. McAvoy does Scottish, because he is, or British. I don't think I've ever heard him doing American.
I mean, it doesn't sound bad.
It's probably a good thing because
yeah.
Every time William Dafoe spoke, I mean, I started calling that character that he plays William Dafoe because it's so obviously William Dafoe. But to be fair, the game kind of shines through that because the story is intriguing as fuck.
It is. It drags you into it. So, when you start the game, you walk into your apartment building, you walk through the shining carpet, and then you get into your apartment, you see your wife, she's made a dessert.
It's a lovely evening. Fake candles.
There's thunder, which is the best night.
Rainy outside, mood lighting.
Exactly. And then someone turns up at the door. Shit goes wrong.
William Dafoe knocks at the door.
William Dafoe, I keep forgetting his name. William Dafoe knocks at the door, and then shit goes wrong. He is a cop.
So he says.
The cop knocks on the door. He comes in. He says he got a warrant. He arrests you and your wife. And he says that your wife has murdered her father. And then you have to figure out what's real, what's actually happened, what's misunderstandings.
You have to solve the mystery.
You have to solve the mystery. And you have 12 minutes. And if you die, if you leave, or if 12 minutes runs out, the day starts again. You
reset at the door as you come back home from work. For unknown reasons, and I don't consider this a spoiler, and we'll do spoilers later in the video for anyone who wants to give it a go. You never find out why. There's not a reason you're Groundhog Daying. You just kind of...
It just happens.
You just are.
Maybe, actually, I think there is. I think it's something about that book.
Yeah, but that's not a reason. Just because someone's reading a book that is vaguely about time...
I guess.
Isn't an explanation.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. There's something there. Something about forgetting.
There's some pretentiousness to it.
There's a lot of pretentiousness. But I kind of like it. It's a really good game. I really enjoyed it.
I think the pretentiousness isn't the focus, and I think it takes a backseat to the character and the mystery.
Yeah.
And the characters definitely pull this through because your character, McAvoy, is aware that he's in the time loop. Again, he doesn't know why, but every time he dies, he's aware that it's reset and he's found out a bit more information.
And then he uses that information to move forwards. It's basically just a big puzzle.
Sometimes it's horrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes you stab your wife just to see what will happen. And then end up crying with your hands covered in the blood, and then the cop turns up and he's just as shocked as you are.
Yeah.
And then he kills you. And then sometimes you electrocute yourself with a light switch.
Sometimes you shoot yourself as well. That's another one.
Sometimes you do that. Sometimes you stab yourself.
There's
a lot to do.
There is. It's a fun game. You can really try a lot of things out.
It's kind of a dark humour.
Yeah.
But it's not... Do you know if you played the game seriously, properly, I'm trying to do this and get to the end as quick as, and figure out this mystery. It's not funny.
Yeah.
But this game's hilarious. It's genuinely incredible.
It's a really good game.
The level of detail, like having to go into the other room to put sleeping pills in your wife's drink. The first one, she'll assume it's for you, that you're giving yourself some sleeping pills, and then you'll offer it to her and she'll be like, no, I'm sleeping fine. But if you do it in another room, she'll accept it, but only before a certain point, because if she drinks something first, she'll be like, I'm not thirsty anymore. The light switch that's broken that keeps getting mentioned, and if you turn it on once, it sparks. Turn it off and then on again and it'll blow you up. But you can use that by knocking your wife out and she goes to sleep, and then the cop comes in, but you've hidden the cupboard so he doesn't check, and he sees her, turns the light on, gets knocked out, and then you can flip the table on him. It's never difficult to figure out what to do, maybe up until the end, when it gets a bit like, okay, fine. I don't know, we'll get to that later. But it always kind of pushes you forward, and it encourages you to experiment and try things. Even if those things are pointless, they've thought about them. Phoning the police, pointless.
Yeah.
But you can do it. and you get a bit where they're like, oh, we're going to be there in 15 minutes, and the game's called 12 minutes, so you're like, that won't do. That's not good enough.
15 minutes is too long. Also, I appreciate that it gives you a lot of random options, like, you can just flush things. Not everything. Some things are too big. And I don't know if there's any reason for flushing things. Maybe there is.
There might be.
But that's not found it.
That's the beauty of it. The vent in the bathroom that you can pull off. Is there a point? Is there a reason?
The vent in the bedroom.
Yeah.
You said the bathroom.
Oh. The vent in the bathroom's very important.
Yeah.
The vent in the bedroom's not. Or is it?
It might be.
Do I need to water the plant?
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Maybe not. One thing that at first, when we first switched on the game, that I struggled with was the controls. But as soon as I turned down the sensitivity, it is a bit slower, but you don't really need to be very quick in this game, so it works.
Until you do.
Until you do.
Until he's getting up and he's about to headbutt you and you need to stab him quick.
That never works.
It never works.
But if you turn the sensitivity down, it just makes it a lot easier to handle.
I wouldn't know because you'd already turned it down by the time I got my hands on the controller. Maybe it would have been fine for me because I think
It was very whippy. It's like you'd overshoot.
On the same kind of line of thinking, the perspective was... It's different. It's unique. There's not a lot of games that move like this nowadays. There's not a lot of point-and-click adventure games nowadays. Certainly not ones worth talking about. But when you were playing it, the top-down thing kind of gave me a bit of motion sick. I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't think I'd enjoy playing it. But once I took over and I started moving myself, kind of got into it. It's a jarring game at first. You really have to work yourself into it. But once you're there, good shit.
And to be honest, I kind of like the top-down because it kind of makes it look more like a high-end game because it's hiding the fact that it probably can't animate a huge amount.
Mainly William Dafoe's face.
Yeah. You can look at his face through the peephole, but it does not work very well.
It's the scariest thing in the game. Turns it into a horror game.
Yeah. But no, I imagine that saved them a lot of money. So I feel like they were able to put more effort into the characters and having in the story and having good voice actors rather than having incredible graphics, which you don't always need.
If Annapurna are good at anything, it's taking really basic concepts and not overcomplicating them, but still making them intriguing over a long period of time. I will never stop talking about Outer Wilds until the day I die. I didn't play Donut County, but again, it's this simple thing, doesn't complicate it any more than it needs to be, just does what it needs to do, and does it well. And 12 minutes, I do think Outer Wilds is their best game. It may be the best game of the past decade that isn't The Witcher 3. But if someone told me, no, 12 minutes is easily their finest work, I couldn't argue.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's more my kind of game than Outer Wilds is as well. So I think I found it more enjoyable. But it's just a really interesting concept. It's also good. It's a relatively long game, but it's also, you can play it in one sitting, but it's a long sitting.
Depending on how good you are at finding out things.
Oh, that's also true. That might have been our fault.
Maybe we're stupid. Maybe we're geniuses.
Maybe you can flush everything. If you flush everything...
If you flush the
there's
house
no
up,
evidence.
The knife goes in, the pocket watch goes in, the wife goes in, everyone's getting flushed.
Knock yourself out, knock him out, it's fine.
If everyone's unconscious and we phone the police, everything will work itself out.
We're going to start talking about spoilers now, so if you want to play the game, I'd suggest going now.
And I'd suggest definitely doing that.
Yeah.
Because you need to go into this game blind to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And it's worth enjoying.
Yes.
Especially if you've got Game Pass. Go buy this shit, man. They deserve your money. Your hard-earned money. They deserve it.
Absolutely. Play it.
Not the ending, but the twist.
It's very old boy.
Little too old boy. My heart sank when I realised that our lovely wife, who I'd spent 12 minutes, but also several hours getting to know, is your half-sister.
And seemingly, you've known that for a long time.
But also you didn't know.
No, you knew that, but then you forgot it for reasons. I think something happened to forget it.
It's never explained, and that my issue with the game fully, and it's my issue with every game of this kind, these indie story games that are experimental, is they're really good at the concept and the mystery and the introducing the ideas, but when it comes to payoff, let's finish this, let's give it a conclusion, they go, mental illness?
Yeah.
He forgot, it's not real, is it real? Can we do it right? Is there any way to... No, give me an ending.
Yeah.
Why is there a time loop? Why can we now change the past? Because one thing I appreciated is it wasn't we remember things, the character remembered things as well. when you go into a loop the first time, your character learns new information, he's as shocked and surprised as you. But then when you reset and you get to that same point, William Dafoe might be saying it like it's the first time and he's shocked, but your character's like, yeah, shut the fuck up, okay, I've heard this all before, I know what's going on. And all the characters like, how the fuck do you, like, what? And that's fun, that's really good.
Yeah.
But this weird ending bit that's maybe a flashback, but maybe is happening because you can make choices that affect the future. Your character doesn't have anything to say about it. He kind of just sits there and then the father who doesn't appear into the game at this point is also voiced by William Dafoe. Does that mean something? Is it laziness? Did they just have him there?
They just had him there.
But then it goes to another scene when the father's replaced by the cop, and that's also still William Dafoe. And it's like, I don't care what it means. I came here for a fun time loop story.
Yeah. And
now my wife's my sister. She's pregnant. William Dafoe is now my friend, even though he's murdered me about 300 times in the past 12 minutes. And then it ends. And there are all these different options for endings, and none of them have the same payoff.
Well, actually, I feel like what is the main ending is the fact that you can choose in the past to not continue your relationship and to leave her because you found out from your dad, which you've just found out is your dad, that you are siblings. So I find that quite interesting. I kind of like that as an ending because it's like it takes away all the stress of the fact that you have a kid with your sister and you're gonna have a weird incest child.
So you think Old Boy should have ended differently? Spoilers for Old Boy. It's an old film.
Should have watched it by now.
Yeah. But you disagree, because the other ending is to just continue the loop and be blissfully unaware.
Yeah, be blissfully unaware and just carry on being with your sister.
And having a kid.
Which...
See, that's the mark of a really good game with really good characters. Because you're kind of like... it's the Game of Thrones thing. It's the Jaime and Cersei Lannister where it's like, that's wrong. They don't... No. That's not on. But by like series 5, you're like, but they're just happy. You leave them be. So what? And then you go, oh wait, no, actually, that's awful. Like that don't do that. But also they're so happy and they love each other so much.
Yeah.
But also
it's not hurting anyone. But also it's like, yeah.
That's when we had that decision at the end of this. It was like, could we just be happy?
But we'd seen the future, and
we knew.
Again, spoilers. But if you choose to be with her, then her dad dies, which then starts...
Because you murder him.
Because you technically murder him. Because
why don't we get to remake that decision?
Well, see, no, because it wasn't a decision.
I guess it was
because he attacks you. It's self-defense. But because you murder him, and then for some reason you forget...
she thinks she murdered him.
She thinks she murdered him.
Even though she was in a different place when he died, so she should have known she didn't murder him.
No, because she wouldn't have gone back. So she went... She shot him on Christmas Day, but he actually died because he got shot on New Year's. He survived her shooting. So because she knew he was dead, she assumed it was her. But as soon as she finds out he died New Year's Eve, she knows she wasn't there.
You would have thought someone would have told her.
I think she ran away. I think that was the point, because obviously she shot her dad and she thought she killed him.
It's convoluted, because in my head, if you don't know that he was shot by someone else a week later and someone says, oh, by the way, your dad was murdered a week later, how do you know he's dead?
I think she just shot. I think she just thought.
Just assumed.
Yeah, I mean, if you shoot someone with a gun in the kind of heart area, you probably assume they're dead.
It gets flimsy at the end. Like, that's a fine enough explanation, I'm sure, but there's a lot of holes, and a lot of that is presumption. We've filled in gaps ourselves. There's nothing there. The very end of the game goes very, oh, what do you think? You fill in the gaps. Oh. And it's like, no, let's go back to the stabbing myself thing. That was fun.
Yeah. And this might be a weird opinion, but I like the cop.
At first you don't.
And then
you speak to him
killing you a
and
lot.
He's got a kid. The kid's ill. He just wants money, but also he wants revenge. And then you kind of like, I guess it's fair to want revenge. And you're like, maybe I don't like my wife. Maybe she's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then no, you're the dickhead all along.
Yeah.
But you didn't remember for reasons.
But for some reason you're in the loop. But I guess it's because you did it.
But who knows why? Who started
the
now?
loop? Why is the loop here now?
Why is William Dafoe 2 people?
Because he can be.
Well, we need a sequel. I need 24 minutes. Maybe Outer Wilds is a sequel to 12 minutes.
I accept that.
Time loop games, man. Make a Groundhog Day the video game. Make it happen.
It's a fun concept.
All in all, I have my issues. I have my gripes. I think the ending's a bit floaty and a bit rushed. But it's a really fucking good game. Annapurna's done it again. They have knocked it out of the park. And I have actually never spent a penny on one of their games because they're always in the Game Pass.
That's true. They're the one company that I would happily pay for, but we've never paid for them.
Please, Annapurna, for the love of God, don't end up being dicks. Don't be a Riot Games, don't be a Ubisoft, don't be an Activision Blizzard. Just be nice people, you keep to yourself, and you make good-ass games.
I hope so.
If you're looking for an indie game that may become one of your favourite experiences, if you see Annapurna Interactive anywhere on that case, grab that fucking game.
Yeah, give it a go.
Just dive in, because they're good at ideas and concepts and bringing them together. And 12 Minutes is just another prime example of them making fantastic fucking games. Play it. Fucking play it.
Yeah.
Go now. What are you listening to this for?
Go buy Game Pass or the game.
It's already been spoiled, but even so, it's a fun time. Anyway, thanks for watching this one, guys. If you've played 12 Minutes, feel free to let us know the horrible, horrible things you did to your loved ones or yourselves in the time loop. Let us know what you thought of the game, and if you wanted to leave a like or subscribe to support us and the channel, that would mean a hell of a lot to us. Cheers.
Bye.